How are you feeling? How do you come into camp this year?
I feel great. I feel, came in strong, ready to go. I feel good. No injuries yet, and key word there. No, but yeah, everything's
But you
great.
caught a lot last year. I mean, you caught a lot of games. So what do you need to do at the end of that to refresh and make sure that you come back now ready to go?
Yeah, I just think it's like a process, right? You take your time off in the off season, not just physically but mentally to kind of refresh, get away from it, and from there you start building kind of the basics with building a core of like the strength and speed, and then you keep working your way up until you get to camp and try to get into shape and just kind of build on that. And the biggest way to get into game shape is playing games. So it's hard to really do anything until you get into that kind of that space. So played 5 yesterday, felt good. Had some long innings, which is kind of good to get under your belt.
A lot of pictures floating around the interwebs, wondering, is it a slim down big dumper? A lot of people wondering, is it a big dumper, slim down, leaner, move things around, or are we status quo?
We're pretty status quo, I'd say.
Status quo?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're right where we need to be. So, you have your time in the off season to enjoy some foods and some not so heavy lifting and running days. So, but yeah, once you get closer, slim down a little bit, put some muscle on, and kind of go from there.
So season ends, call it September 30th. What do you do as beat up as you are then, and especially really the last couple years, the thumb the year before, last year, all the caught games, the bumps and bruises. How long before your body actually, you wake up and you're like, oh, nothing hurts and I feel good?
It was actually weird because once I stopped moving, I actually was hurting more. It was really weird. Like
Wait till you're 49.
So they say motion is lotion. Right?
Yes.
And
yes.
So when I stopped moving a couple of weeks there, really all I was doing was golfing was the only motion. And then I was like, man, I got to start like walking or doing something just to get the joints going a little bit because I was getting, tight. And once I started kind of that first phase of lifting, I was like, all right, yeah, I feel good. Feel refreshed here.
You golf righty or lefty?
Righty, yeah.
Righty. You do everything else righty other than switch hit?
Yeah, everything's right. The only thing, is hitting.
And yet, in your career, haven't you been a better hitter lefty than righty? Am I crazy? Am I getting that wrong?
No, you're probably right.
Okay.
Yeah, up to this moment, I'd say last year was my first, kind of solid season from the right side as far as production and getting the same amount as at bats.
But when you first were handed a bat, you hit righty?
No. So I get this question all the time.
Come on, Salk,
for as long as I've known,
Goodness.
I've been a switch hitter. So like I've never not known what it's like to be a switch hitter. My dad was a coach and made me a switch hitter from the time I could walk. So if I had to guess, I don't know. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you. I'd say maybe left because my little brother's a switch hitter as well, but he was a natural left-handed hitter. Okay. So and we do everything the same. He's like a little, I say miniature version, but he's taller than me. So
Oh, is he really?
yeah, and he's a freshman in high school. So
he's coming.
yeah.
So we'll get to the rotation here in a minute and get some of your thoughts on the pitchers and
Ask you the same questions everybody
Right,
else
exactly.
asks.
Yeah, the same old. But we had an opportunity to sit with Kevin Seitzer, which was fascinating. He is, as far as I could tell, the exact polar opposite of Brant Brown, who was here at the beginning of life. Just personality-wise, they seem cut from completely different
son
cloths.
of a buck.
Yeah. What do you make? What have you learned? What is the new philosophy of hitting for the 2025 Mariners?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I mean, you guys have probably already talked about it a little bit, a simplified approach, staying in the middle of the part of the field. It's we like to overcomplicate it sometimes, and we like to get into the weeds and really dig into advanced numbers or, certain angles and things and metrics. But at the end of the day, it's about squaring the ball up and, getting knocks and getting the job done. So I think it's just going to be a simplified approach of going up there and not trying to do too much and, just trying to put bat on the ball. I think that's the big thing is not trying to do too much because, as hitters sometimes we all fall into the trap of, wanting to do more, wanting to manipulate the ball, wanting to force the ball to the fence when in reality, pitchers are the ones that throw the mistakes and throw the home runs. You can't really force the action. You got to take what the pitcher gives you. And, early in counts, being willing to take your hit, swinging the right pitches, kind of things like that. So
You said something that had a little football ease to it, kind of perked my ears. And it probably shouldn't be a surprise because you're the position in baseball that wears pads. And you said the only way to really get in baseball shape as a catcher is to play baseball games and to put those pads on. In football, they like to say that's callousing. Like the only way you get in football shape is to callus one another and to hit and put the pads on and get yourself ready to go. How do you balance that? How do you balance that line between, okay, I got to get calloused, but I also got to catch 100 and how many games you catch last year? 50,
Yeah.
whatever. How do you find that little balance? Or do you just know, like, I mean, I'm going to take a beating. Like this is just comes with the territory. Just got to callous myself up as much as possible to ready for this journey.
I mean, that's a really good phrase, the kind of way to put it, the callus. To me, it's just, you got to get ready for the season. You got to be in that kind of shape to, not just only perform in one game, but perform back to back and kind of get into that mode of, because I think a lot of times, guys come into spring training and they're like, oh, I feel great. I feel amazing. But you're also, taking days off in between, and you're also well rested. You're not traveling thousands of miles. You're not getting on planes, getting in at 3 a.m. So it's really almost forcing yourself, even when you don't feel good, having that kind of discipline to train, to work, and to show up each day and playing games, even when things don't quite feel all that right. Because, I mean, that's the majority of the games. I mean, there's very rarely, I think maybe the first couple games of the year is like, oh, yeah, I feel great. And then after that, no, you don't feel great. So it's just all that stuff and just training yourself, your mind and your body to be ready for those games and be ready for, that kind of beating. And it's not just, the catchers. I mean, even the infielders, outfielders, pitchers, you got to go out there and perform even when you don't feel good.
Does that come from your dad? I mean, you've received a lot of accolades in the last few years from peers, managers, coaches, et cetera, for just your ability to tough through it. Does that come from just inside you? Is that your family? Where does it come from?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest influence is my dad. He was a coach. He's always been my coach. And the biggest thing, even to this day, is he's a guy that can kind of hold me accountable and kind of tell me the hard truths. And, he brings a great perspective, to my mind a lot of the times. And he just, he's always telling me, there's a lot worse things you could be doing. You get to play baseball for a living. You get to be out there every single day. People will kill to be doing what you do. So, when you put it into that perspective and you look at it through that lens, it's like, yeah, of course I want to be out there every day. And I want to be out there for my guys, and you want to be, counted for. And, I'd say he's a huge one for me. And, he was a guy that, never took a day off, and kind of same mentality of like show up every day no matter how you're feeling. And you got a job to do. So
Is there more in the dumper?
Is there more in the dumper?
Yeah.
does that
Like
mean?
I like to say, is there more in the tank? Is there more in your game? Or is it just like, well, you know what? He's hit 30 home runs. He's done stuff no Mariners catcher's ever done, back-to-back 30 home run years. And, like, is this the ceiling? Or do you think that there is more in the tank?
No, there's more. I believe so. I believe I can. There's plenty of parts of my game I want to improve on. You look at, like, striking out less, more balls in play, a little more better with the average. Even the catching side of it, throwing out more runners. Is there any kind of way I can get better in the leadership side? Things like that. So there's a lot more in the tank, and it's just realizing that you also don't want to lose the things you're good at. So going out there and keeping things I'm good at, but also kind of accounting for early in the off season, like, all right, these are kind of the areas I need to improve on. This is what road I want to take.
You mentioned the leadership aspect, and it's sort of the perfect lead-in, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but a few years ago, you made headlines talking about some of your frustration with the way the team had been built at that time. A couple of years later, we show up here, and it was a quiet offseason for the Mariners. Some of the fan base has been, what's the right word for it? Vocal about some of their frustration, or let's just call it restlessness. How does that sit in the clubhouse with you and with your teammates?
Yeah, I think the way we look at it is we have a job to do, and we have to go out there and we have to kind of look internally, right? We can't really worry about what's going on outside of us and outside the team, things that we can't control. The things that we got to worry about is us, and we got to continue to get better, and we got to kind of own up to maybe our shortcomings and maybe where we fell short, and understand that we're not perfect, and we gotta get better in each phase of the game, and that's everybody from top to bottom, doesn't matter. Even the starters, as good as they are, they can still improve their game, and as hitters, we know we need to take a big step up as well. And so it's more about looking internal and like, all right, we need to kind of get our crap in line. We need to get going and kind of step up this year.
Was there some communication too in the off season? Were you in communication with Dan or Justin or Jared, somebody along the way, sort of just staying with you as one of the team leaders as the off season progressed?
Yeah, I got to talk to Dan a lot this offseason. That was more, I'd say, baseball, more so than it was front office talk or anything like that. We kept it kind of straightforward in the sense of this is kind of how we're approaching spring training, what we want to accomplish, where we see where our team at right now, and what kind of we can improve on. Kind of like I was talking about, like internal, like what can we control, what can we get better at, and I think that's something that we can make a big emphasis on this spring training.
What should we know about Dan Wilson?
Well, I think you guys all know how awesome he is as a person, right? I mean, everybody loves Dan Wilson, but I think kind of the fierceness side of him, the competitor side of him is a real thing, and he has that kind of fire. I think it's maybe you don't see it as much because in the day-to-day he's such a nice guy, and he's so good with everybody, with relationships and things like that. So, but the guy wants to win. The guy, has that kind of fire in his belly as far as he wanted to go out there and compete and win and not take crap from anybody. So that's the side I think you'll see on the manager side. The thing maybe you haven't seen quite yet. But the guy, he wants to do it the right way, and he wants to get this thing done.
Do you enjoy managing all your different personalities? We've chatted with Bryce. We've chatted with Mr. Wu. We're going to chat with Logan. Right, we get a chance to spend 15, 20 minutes with them. They're all, and we haven't even chatted with Kirby, I don't think, hardly ever.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all uniquely different. And Luis, do you enjoy kind of unlocking, communicating, needling, just managing? You're kind of the manager, right? Managing those relationships, pitcher, catcher-wise?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think it's fun. It's not easy, but it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of like you said, they're all different, and the way that you talk to them, the way you approach them, how they feel on certain things, how they react to certain situations is completely different, and that's top to bottom. That's starters all the way down to the relievers. And
Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's more guys that I'd say in general. I'd say the example is like some guys you want to talk to maybe a little differently in the sense of like positivity. You want to build them up. You want to tell them how good they are. You want to tell them, how tough they are to be, how tough they are as pitchers to face, and how hard it is for hitters to kind of square that ball up, and it kind of gives them that confidence back. Whereas maybe some other guys, you're kind of getting on them a little more, saying, "I know there's more in the tank. I know you can do more. Like I know you can give me like a little extra." And each guy is a little different in the sense of that, and you pick your spots. There's times and places where you do have those conversations and places you don't.
Who's the most confident guy in the staff?
Confident.
I won't ask you the opposite. That's not fair. But the most confident guy in the staff?
That's a tough one. I mean, there's a lot of confident guys. Staff, I don't know. I'd say I don't know. Bryce has got this kind of confidence to him in the sense of like he's never like, never worried, same heartbeat the whole time. He's kind of got that. Louis kind of got this swag about him where he just walks out there and you're like, damn, that guy's, he's going to shove it down my throat kind of thing, and nothing affects him. Logan has this kind of mentality of like go kill the guy, like where he's kind of got this psycho kind of.
That's Walter. It's not,
yeah,
that's not Logan.
That's Walter.
That's Walter.
George is kind of like silent, but fierce out there, just in the sense of like just get after you. And then, Wu's still kind of coming into zone in the sense of trying to find himself full season, and but when he locks it in, he's about the hitters when they get to first base, they're like that's different.
Yeah, what is the deal with his fastball? Well, I mean, why can't people hit his fastball?
I would look at guys like example, like a Woodruff with Milwaukee, Freddie Peralta with Milwaukee as well, Zach Wheeler, Jacob deGrom. Like I know I'm not just throwing those names out at you guys. Like that's the kind of stuff that he has, and like he's been blessed with that like easy down the mound. He moves really well. Like you just look how easy and how easy, like you see how like it just flows down the mound. And, like, all those guys have that kind of similarity if you go and watch, and he has that. And, like, I don't say that lightly, but, like, he has.
So does the ball get on you
it
quicker because of it, because it's an easy delivery, you're not expecting it to be as fast as it is, or to get where it's going as quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it comes out so smooth, and it's so efficient and like easy cheese. You know what I mean? Like you see some guys out there and they're grunting and they're throwing hard, but it's max effort, and like you see him and you're like, is he even going like 60%? And he's throwing 95 and he's just blowing it by people, and it's what that deception is killer.
The other day, Salk and I were chatting last couple minutes here with Cal Raleigh. Thanks again for all the time. One of our highlights every year. We were just chatting about how, man, every once in a while at this level, right? You guys are the 1% of 1% to make it to the bigs and all of it. People and you guys will marvel at each other like, wow. You know, and obviously Mooney's change up the other day, right? That 10-inch drop, just wow. How many times do you and can you still be wowed? Where you in your position who have caught everything, seen everything, hit everything, where you're just like, dang, that's different.
That's different.
Yeah, I mean, they keep finding ways to do it, right? I mean, with like pitches and just coming in. And I think it just like speaks volumes to guys wanting to get better.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's trying new things. It's not being scared, you know, it's having that kind of mentality, that edge to you. Like, I want to keep getting better. I want to keep continuing to find ways to get guys out, and I want to see if I can improve my game in this aspect, and not being scared to go out there and try those things, because, you know, at the end of the day, you can't play scared. And those guys don't play scared. They go after you, and they try new things. They're not afraid to fail, and, you know, it kind of speaks volumes to the kind of staff and how they go about it.
You guys got a team that can make the playoffs and win some games?
We do. I'm really excited. You know, I've liked what I've seen so far with the guys. You know, they're ready to go, and, you know, I'm ready to go to war with these guys. It's they've had great off seasons, and, you know, I know we're all really excited about, you know, what's to come, and I think we're ready to take that challenge on and take that next step.
I hate to ask a business question, but I'll slide one in here at the end, because I know you changed agents somewhat recently within the last year, and I know there's a lot of Mariner fans that saw that news and hoped that it was a sign that maybe you were interested in signing a long-term deal to stay with the Mariners for quite a few more years. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, I would love nothing more to, you know, play for one team my whole career, and, you know, Seattle has been nothing but good to me. You know, you guys and everyone else, you know, they've welcomed me with open arms, and, you know, the people are great. I love the city. I love this organization, and, you know, I really would love that. You know, some of that's out of my hands, obviously. And
But are you someone that feels you have to test free agency, you owe it to yourself to get in and see what the open market is, or is it a possibility to sign something before then?
no, I'm completely open to signing something before then. You know, you know, like I said, I would love that, nothing more than that, to be with one team, and, you know, I love this org, and I'm open to anything. I'm not closing any kind of, I guess, books or whatever it is, but I'm not closing any possibilities, and you know, I want to have all the options I can. So. And
last thing for me, and Salk mentioned this earlier, you know, your comments a couple of years ago, I think there was just an infusion of love from the fan base. Your home run went a long way in that as well, of getting to the playoffs. Do you feel like, man, I can feel these fans and how badly they want this? Do you guys feel that? Do you feel that in your position, that this is a fan base that is just starving to get to a World Series they've never been to, right? To get to some of these mountaintops. As an organization with all these Hall of Famers, great, they've never gotten there. Do you feel that when you're around town and in the building?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, and it makes it difficult when you come up short, because, you know, it's not just you're failing yourself, you're failing your teammates, your coaches, but you're failing, you know, fans and people that invest time and money, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the game is about the people who, you know, care about us, and the people who come out to the games and the city, and that's what makes it so much harder. Is, you know, it's not just, you know, we're not just failing as a, you know, team that year, where we're failing other people, and, you know, I think it's tough because we made it and we saw how much joy and how much it brought to people and how much it meant to them, and, you know, to come up short, it's like you don't want to come up short again because of, you know, how it makes those people feel and how many people are relying on you, you know, in that kind of sense of after you've been there and done that, and how many people it kind of touches, and that's kind of makes it kind of bigger than baseball.
Cal, we appreciate it. It is truly one of our highlights each year when we get to come down here and sit and hear from you and hear your perspective on things. We really do appreciate it. Thanks for doing it, and good luck this year. We'll look forward to watching.
Appreciate it. Hit him straight.
Hey, thanks for watching us at Spring Training. If you want more of this kind of content, it's pretty easy. Just subscribe.
Yep, and you can always download the app. I think he tells you that every once in a while. You can download the Seattle Sports app as well.